use headphones for best experience. Thanks for your fantastic support. Hi, welcome to another video. Today I'm gonna do like a ramble video about simple machines, and I'm gonna try to draw with this white out pen or correction pen on this surface. It's like a book cover. And it's been requested quite a lot, but I can't draw like a lot using this pen because yeah, it takes a lot of material, of course. This is not ordinary paper, and the requests I get is like, can't you do a video drawing like you do in the intro when I draw the sleeping or relaxing face. But yeah, I think to get that kind of sounds, you need to draw quite fast, and you need to draw with on this type of surface, and I can't buy unlimited amounts of book covers, and also this ink smells quite a lot, so I don't think it's very healthy to use it a lot, but I will draw some simple machines today. But first I'd like to do some announcements. First, I'd like to tell you about a new video from the French Whisperer. So a couple of days ago, it was last Sunday, he posted this video. ASMR 22 informative, educational and soothing channels introduce themselves. Here you can find a list of 22 YouTube ASMR channels, all in this branch of the ASMR community that you probably can call educational ASMR. This really interesting branch that I think many of you who are watching this and watching my channel are interested in. So check this video out, and you might find some new channels that you find relaxing and interesting. And also here you can see I'm part of this video I'm so glad that the French Whisperer invited me to participate in this collaboration. So I have included a 3-minute clip from one of my latest videos here. Also, I'd like to show you a quite new ASMR YouTube channel that I think you might like, and I don't think I've talked about this channel before. It's the channel ASMR You Sitting Comfortably. I think it started last year, 2020. And here you can find a lot of map drawing videos. Here, for example, Middle Earth map drawing. Here you can also see map drawing of the USA. And this one, really interesting and inspiring, ASMR map drawing of Shakespeare's London. So it's a lot of history, geography, and drawing as well. So check out ASMR You Sitting Comfortably as well. And I also want to show you my new TikTok that I started. I started this account this weekend. So I only had it for like 5 days or so. And I think it was really fun actually to find a platform where I can post like 1-minute videos. Some of you might have seen my Instagram account where I have been posting 1-minute ASMR videos for quite some time. But I guess TikTok is more a platform for video watching, and especially for watching 1-minute clips or something like that, really short clips. And I must admit I had so much fun creating these videos. And see, like using filters and music and sounds. So here you can see some examples. I like to do map tracing when I'm outside, when I'm traveling, or anywhere. Sometimes I stumble upon something, probably a map or a sign, and I get inspired to just record something at that very moment. So then I might just pick up my phone and film something. And I think it's really fun to have somewhere here to post it. So you could try, I mean, you could check it out and maybe follow my, here you can see me, hi, my TikTok account. Maybe I will get a bit tired of these filters eventually, but in the bit now I thought it was so fun to just use filters. So let's see what happens with this account. It's really completely new. And the last thing I'd like to talk about before we start to talk about the simple machines is my Spotify account, or not only Spotify, but my like it's not music, of course, but it's the sound from some of my videos, and also sound from content that is not on YouTube. So I intend to post like, okay, it started like this. It started last year, or no, it was 2 years ago, 2019. I started like a podcast where I posted some audio. And then last summer, I started to upload audio on music streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and I'm not sure about all the platforms that are included, but I know Spotify and Apple Music are included. And I noticed there was a difference between having a podcast on podcast platforms and to have it more like albums on a music streaming platform. And I must say I like this format better, to create albums with tracks. Here you can see the tracks, or no, here are my albums so far: Writing Greek Alphabet, Exploring Mars, Drawing Map of Australia, Drawing Map of Antarctica, Nerd Cave Figurine Collection Care, Definition of ASMR Ramble, and the latest one here. Pan-American Highway. And here you can see some of the tracks, or maybe I can show you an entire album here. So it's split into tracks like this, like chapters: Alaska, Canada, USA, Mexico. This is the Pan-American Highway, so it's a separate track for all the geographical, or for all the countries, basically. So it's 20 songs, if you want to call it that, and 1 hour and 54 minutes long, this album. And I kind of feel like this is the right format for me right now to upload audio only. And my intention is actually to do more rambles and talk more, like my intention was with the podcast idea I initially had. But I must say I'm not so happy with the podcast platform and everything like that, because to the podcast I have to pay a yearly fee to have to keep it up. I mean all the content, and if I miss to pay it 1 year probably for some reason, then I think it will be everything will be gone, and that type of solution makes me a bit stressed, and I'm not even sure if I get any revenue from the podcast. I don't know exactly how it works, but this is more. I understand this format better. I pay for every album. I mean, it's a fee I pay only once for uploading it, and then it will be there forever, I guess. If I don't want to remove it, and that makes me a bit calmer. It's more like I have control over episodes up on the platforms. Yeah, so I think I will continue, because also it takes a lot of time to have both the podcast and the audio music streaming platforms. So that's why I haven't been uploading for a while now on my podcast. But I also would like to hear what you think. Do you prefer listening to podcasts on podcast platforms, or because it's also confusing, because you can listen to podcasts on Spotify or Apple Music, but you can also listen to music, and it's like two separate parts of the platforms, I guess, and it's a bit confusing to me. But do you think it's a difference as listeners to listen to a podcast or listening on albums like this? I would really like to hear your opinion on that. But yeah, I have heard some requests of uploading more content to my podcast, so maybe I'll do that as well. I'm not sure at this moment, but I must say I like to create these types of albums consisting of tracks like this. So check out as well this my audio content, and I plan to do more like rambles. I had an idea about doing Wikipedia rambles that I would record mostly for audio platforms, but I think I might film it as well, because it could be nice to include it on YouTube as well. But the rambles would be mainly for an audio audience. And that was my idea with this particular video that I'm recording right now. But then I got some plans and ideas, and I wanted to include some drawing as well. And I thought I could combine it with the requests, all the requests I've got about drawing with a white out pen. So, but it's nice to just ramble and not prepare so much, because when I do, for example, the map drawings, I feel I prepare for longer and longer time now for each video I put out, and it makes me a bit stressed, and the weeks goes by and I feel I haven't uploaded anything for quite some time. So I might it would be nice to have another type of video that I can upload in between those where I really feel I need to do a lot of research and just ramble, read from, for example, Wikipedia, which I do a lot when I'm doing the research for various topics. Also, I think it's really fun to just ramble and not prepare everything. I also feel that I practice my English more when I can't look up every word and everything like that, and just being creative in talking and rambling. And I feel I need to practice that more also for my other videos, so I can be more calm, comfortable, and not stress so much, because I can't be stressed at all when I'm recording. Then the result won't be relaxing at all, I guess. Okay, I think that was quite a long introduction, almost 20 minutes. But now let's talk about simple machines. So a simple machine. I find this topic really interesting when it comes to history, the history part of it, because these are really old inventions that humans made. That was so important for development of our modern society. And I'm super fascinated by the oldest inventions, like the wheel and domestication of the horse. That's maybe not an invention, but I mean farming, everything like that. It's so interesting, and I really feel I want to know when it happened, and of course no one knows that, but to get clues on when it could have happened. And yeah, so the simple machines. A simple machine is a mechanical device that changes the direction or magnitude of a force. In general, they can be defined as the simplest mechanisms that use mechanical advantage, also called leverage, to multiply force. Usually the term refers to the 6 classical simple machines that were defined by Renaissance scientists. So we have lever, wheel and axle, pulley, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, inclined plane, wedge and screw. A simple machine uses a single applied force to do work against a single load force, ignoring friction losses. The work done on the load is equal to the work done by the applied force. Okay, I don't think this was super interesting. I'm more interested in the history of each one of these. Let's start with wedge. So a wedge is a triangular shaped tool and is a portable inclined plane. Okay, maybe we should start with the inclined plane instead. This is a really simple machine. I don't even think about it as a machine or as an invention. It's just so obvious, but of course it has been invented at some point. And imagine how it must have helped before you used these like ramps. An inclined plane, also known as a ramp, is a flat supporting surface tilted at an angle, with one end higher than the other, used as an aid for raising or lowering a load. The inclined plane is one of the 6 classical simple machines defined by Renaissance scientists. Inclined planes are widely used to move heavy loads over vertical obstacles. Examples vary from the ramp used to load goods into a truck, to a person walking up a pedestrian ramp, to an automobile or railroad train climbing a grade. Let's see if there's a history section. Inclined planes have been used by people since prehistoric times to move heavy objects. The sloping roads and causeways built by ancient civilizations, such as the Romans, are examples of early inclined planes that have survived, and show that they understood the value of this device for moving things uphill. The heavy stones used in ancient stone structures, such as Stonehenge, are believed to have been moved and set in place using inclined planes made of earth. Although it is hard to find evidence of such temporary building ramps. The Egyptian pyramids were constructed using inclined planes. That's really interesting. Siege ramps enabled ancient armies. What's a siege ramp? Military blockade for a city. Siege ramps enabled ancient armies to surmount fortress walls. The ancient Greeks constructed a paved ramp 6 kilometers or 3.7 miles long, the Diolkos, to drag ships over land across the Isthmus of Corinth. That's also really nice. Here we have the Isthmus of Corinth. So let's draw an inclined plane here. And I'm going to draw a moving truck, because I think that illustrates quite well how you use an inclined plane today. So this is the truck, and now we have the plane here. So you can see a ramp where you can move things, lift it, because if it's like a piano or something really heavy, it's not easy to lift it straight up. But if you like put it slowly, push it slowly upwards, small distance at a time, then you can do it. So it's a flat surface with the one end higher than the other, and this allows for heavy objects to slide up to a higher point rather than be lifted. It's generally easier to slide something than to lift it. And examples of inclined planes are ladder, slides and ramps, as you can see. So that was one example of an inclined plane. So let's move to wedge. The next simple machine here. A wedge is a triangular shaped tool and it's a portable inclined plane. It can be used to separate two objects or portions of an object, lift up an object or hold an object in place. It functions by converting a force applied to its blunt end into forces perpendicular to its inclined surfaces. The mechanical advantage of a wedge is given by the ratio of the length of its slope to its width. Although a short wedge with a wide angle may do a job faster, it requires more force than a long wedge with a narrow angle. Okay, so a long wedge with a narrow angle must be like that. And if you use more power, you can consider using a short wedge with a wide angle to do the job faster. Okay. The force is applied on a flat, broad surface. This energy is transported to the pointy, sharp end of the wedge. Hence, the force is transported. The wedge simply transports energy and collects it to the pointy end, consequently breaking the item. In this way, much pressure is put on the thin air area. And here we have the history section. Wedges have existed for thousands of years. They were first made of simple stone. Perhaps the first example of a wedge is the hand axe. Here it's two difficult words. Which is made by chipping stone, generally flint, to form a bifacial edge or wedge. A wedge is a simple machine that transforms lateral force and movement of the tool into a transverse splitting force and movements of the workpiece. Yeah, that is not so much about history here. The origin of the wedge is not known. In ancient Egyptian quarries, bronze wedges were used. What's quarries? Quarry. A quarry is a type of open pit mine in which dimension stone, rock, rock construction, aggregate, riprap, sand and gravel or slate is excavated from the ground. The word quarry can also include the underground quarrying for stone, such as path stone. Interesting. origin of the wedge is not known. In ancient Egyptian quarries, bronze wedges were used to break away blocks of stone used in construction. Wooden wedges that swelled after being saturated with water were also used. Some indigenous peoples of the Americas used antler wedges for splitting and working wood to make canoes, dwellings, and other objects. Antler wedges. Antlers are the extensions of an animal skull found in members of the deer family. Okay. I want to draw a wedge, and I will choose to draw an axe. I think it's a perfect example of a wedge. So here we have the handle of the axe and the blade, the sharp edge. And this part is, of course, the wedge mechanism. Let's talk about a lever. A lever is a simple machine consisting of a beam or rigid rod, pivoted at a fixed hinge or fulcrum. A lever is a rigid body capable of rotating on a point on itself. On the basis of the locations of fulcrum, load and effort, the lever is divided into three types. Also, a leverage is a mechanical advantage gained in a mechanical system. It is one of the 6 simple machines. A lever amplifies an input force to provide a greater output force, which is said to provide a leverage. The ratio of the output force to the input force is the mechanical advantage of the lever. As such, the lever is a mechanical advantage device, trading off force against movement. Etymology. The word lever entered English about 1300 100 from Old French, in which the word was levier. This sprang from the stem of the word lever, meaning to raise. The verb in turn goes back to the Latin levare, itself from the adjective levis, meaning light, as in not heavy. The word's primary origin is the Proto-Indo-European stem legv, meaning light, easy or nimble, among other things. That's interesting. So we have the word for light, and then from that word we have the word for raise, because something that is light is easy to raise. And then we have lever. The perfect example of the lever is the teeter-totter or seesaw that illustrate this movement. History. The earliest evidence of the lever mechanism dates back to the ancient Near East, circa 5000 BC, when it was first used in a simple balance scale. In ancient Egypt, circa 4400 BC, a foot pedal was used for the earliest horizontal frame loom. In Mesopotamia, modern Iraq, circa 3000 BC, the shadoof, a crane-like device that uses a lever mechanism, was invented. In ancient Egypt technology, workmen used the lever to move and uplift obelisks weighing more than 100 tons. This is evident from the recesses in the large blocks and the handling bosses, which could not be used for any purpose other than for levers. The earliest remaining writings regarding levers date from the 3rd century BC and were provided by Archimedes. He stated, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." And there are many examples of levers. A lot of tools are using this mechanism to enhance power, of course. I think I'm gonna draw some examples of tools that can be considered levers. First, I would like to draw a bottle opener. And then I'd like to draw crowbars, or a crowbar. I'd like to draw tweezers. And also pliers. Also, there are a lot of compound machines that consist of more than one simple machine. So, for example, we have scissors that are consist of wedges, the blades, and also levers. That's the handles. Now, I would like to draw a scissor as well to illustrate and show you a compound machine. So a pair of scissors to demonstrate both the wedges and the lever at the same time. Now, let's talk about and read about wheel and axle. Super interesting, of course, and important invention for humans. The wheel and axle is a machine consisting of a wheel attached to a smaller axle, so that these two parts rotate together, in which a force is transferred from one to the other. The wheel and axle can be viewed as a version of the lever, with a drive force applied tangentially to the perimeter of the wheel and a load force applied to the axle, respectively. A long sentence here. That are balanced around the hinge, which is the fulcrum. History. The Halaf culture of 6,500 to 5,100 BCE has been credited with the earliest depiction of a wheeled vehicle, but this is doubtful, as there is no evidence of Halafians using either wheeled vehicles or even pottery wheels. One of the first applications of the wheel to appear was the potter's wheel. You know, the wheel used in ceramics. That's quite cool that this was probably invented before the wheel used in vehicles. The pottery is a really old invention. Used by prehistoric cultures to fabricate clay pots. The earliest type, known as tournettes or slow wheels, were known in the Middle East by the 5th millennium BCE. One of the earliest examples was discovered at Tepe Pardis, Iran, and dated to 5,200 to 4,700 BCE. These were made of stone or clay and secured to the ground with a peg in the center, but required significant effort to turn. True potter's wheels, which are freely spinning and have a wheel and axle mechanism, were developed in Mesopotamia, Iraq, by 4,200 to 4,000 BCE. The oldest surviving example, which was found in Ur, modern-day Iraq, dates to approximately 3,100 BCE. Evidence of wheeled vehicles appeared by the late 4th millennium BCE. Depictions of wheeled wagons found on clay tablet pictographs at the Ihana district of Uruk in the Sumerian civilizations of Mesopotamia are dated between 3,700 to 3,500 BCE. In the second half of the 4th millennium BCE, evidence of wheeled vehicles appeared near simultaneously in the northern Caucasus, the Mykop culture, and Eastern Europe, Cucuteni-Tripilian culture. Depictions of a wheeled vehicle appeared between 3,500 and 3,350 BCE in the Brunosica. No idea how to pronounce it. Brunokike. I'm not sure. This type of pot are from Poland. Okay. Excavated in the funnel beaker culture settlement in southern Poland, in nearby Olszanica. A 2.2 meter wide door was constructed. 2.2 wide doors were constructed for wagon entry. This barn was 40 meter long and had 3 doors. Surviving evidence of a wheel-axle combination from Stargmine near Ljubljana in Slovenia. Ljubljana Marshes wooden wheel is dated within 2 standard deviations to 3,340 to 3,030 BCE. The axle to 3,360 to 3,045 BCE. Two types of early Neolithic European wheel and axle are known. A circumalpine type of wagon construction. The wheel and axle rotate together, as in Ljubljana Marsh's wheel, and that of the Baden culture in Hungary. Axle does not rotate. That's interesting. A wheel and axle with no rotating axle. They both are dated to 3200 to 3000 BCE. Historians believe that there was a diffusion of the wheeled vehicle from the Near East to Europe. Near East to Europe around the mid-4th millennium BCE. Yeah, so it clearly should have happened there somewhere, the 4th millennium BCE, around the cultures in Near East, Central Europe, Eastern Europe. What about Egypt? Yeah, that's later, I think. They probably had wheels, didn't they? When they built the pyramids, or did they? Scientists have an answer to how the Egyptian pyramids were built. Not sure what site this is. Using sand, water and a scale model of an ancient Egyptian transport sled, a team of international scientists have answered an enduring question. How on earth were the pyramids of Egypt built? The ancient Egyptians utilized neither wheels nor work animals for the majority of the pyramid building era. Okay. Yeah, I thought I had heard something about that they didn't use wheels. So the giant blocks, weighing 2.5 tons on average, had to be moved through human muscle power alone. But until recently, nobody really knew how. The answer is simply water. Evidence suggests that the blocks were first levered onto wooden sleds and then hauled up ramps made of sand. However, dry sand piles up in front of a moving sled, increasing friction until the sled is nearly impossible to pull. Wet sand reduces friction dramatically beneath the sled runners, eliminating the sand piles and making it possible for a team of people to move massive objects. Yeah, so I found this article when I googled pyramids built using wheels. Okay, enough reading now, and let's draw something. I like to draw a wheel. so much shadow here. I should lock the window. So here's the wheel. This is a wheel made of wood. And the spokes here, and then we have the axle connecting here to the next wheel. Now, actually, I would like to draw another compound simple machine, or compound machine, I guess. And it's the wheelbarrow. And the wheelbarrow can be considered be a combination of three simple machines. So we have the levers to lift heavy loads using the lever mechanism. We have the wheel and axle. Yeah, you know, a wheelbarrow has one wheel at least. And we have the inclined plane as well. And the inclined plane is used on the wheelbarrow when it's tilted and tipped ahead, so that you could like slide material from the wheelbarrow down to the ground. Then you're you're actually using the inclined plane mechanism. So let's try to draw a wheelbarrow here. And let's draw another one just here. I just wanted to show you how it looks more in a three-dimensional perspective. So you can see it's only one wheel and two handles like that. Next we can look up screw. A screw is a mechanism that converts rotational motion to linear motion. And a torque, rotational force to linear force. It is one of the 6 classical simple machines. The most common form consists of a cylindrical shaft with helical grooves and ridges called threads around and outside. The screw passes through a hole in another object or medium, with threads on the inside of the hole that mesh with the screw's threads. Oh, this is an animation. When the shaft of the screw is rotated relative to the stationary threads, the screw moves along its axis relative to the medium surrounding it. For example, rotating a wood screw forces it into wood. In screw mechanisms, either the screw shaft can rotate through a threaded hole in a stationary object, or a threaded collar, such as a nut, can rotate around a stationary screw shaft. Geometrically, a screw can be viewed as a narrow inclined plane wrapped around a cylinder. This is a wooden screw in ancient Roman olive press. History. The screw was one of the last of the simple machines to be invented. It first appeared in Mesopotamia during the Neo-Assyrian period, 911 to 609 BC. Okay, so it's quite modern if you compare it to the other ones. And then later appeared in ancient Egypt and ancient Greece. Records indicate that the water screw or screw pump was first used in ancient Egypt, sometime before the Greek philosopher Archimedes described the Archimedes screw water pump around 234 BC. Archimedes wrote the earliest theoretical study of the screw as a machine, and is considered to have introduced the screw in ancient Greece. By the 1st century BC, the screw was used in the form of a screw press and the Archimedes screw. Lead and pitch are the same in single start screws, but differ in multiple start screws. So let's draw an example of a screw, simple machine. And one example of a screw simple machine is the jar lid, or a screw lid jar. Okay, I'm not super happy with this shape here. This surface was not as good as the last one I used because it was tricky to draw straight lines. Let's draw the screw lid jar here instead. And I'll draw just a classic screw here. So a screw is a special kind of an inclined plane. So it's basically an inclined plane wrapped around a pole, as you can see here. And screws can be used to lift things or hold things together. So that's quite fascinating that it can be used in both those directions, upwards, downwards. What's it called when you lift a car using something that I have no idea the English word for? I have to look it up. Okay, so what I was trying to say was a screw jack that you use for lifting something as heavy as a car. But when you use this mechanism of an inclined plane, I mean in a screw it becomes the inclined plane if you would yeah, it's a really long inclined plane, but it's so smart that you don't need a very long distance. You can use it instead around this pole, so the whole screw can be very tiny, but still you have so much power in it because it's a really long inclined plane. There are still some space here where I can draw something, I guess. And as you can see, it's only one left. You can see it's a slightly different color on the links I have visited and which I haven't been visiting. So we have Pulley still to discover. A pulley is a wheel on an axle or shaft that is designed to support movement and change the direction of a taut cable or belt, or transfer of power between the shaft and cable or belt. In the case of a pulley supported by a frame or shell that does not transfer power to a shaft, but is used to guide the cable. This sentence is so long. In the case of a pulley supported by a frame or shell that does not transfer power to a shaft, but is used to guide the cable or exert a force, the supporting shell is called a block, and the pulley may be called a sheave. A pulley may have a grooves between flanks around its circumference. To locate the cable or belt, the drive element of a pulley system can be a rope, cable, belt, or chain. This is a classic type of pulley on a ship. In this context, pulleys are normally known as blocks, or block and tackle. Here we have some information about block and tackle. A set of pulleys assembled so that they rotate independently on the same axle form a block. Two blocks with a rope attached to one of the blocks and threaded through the two sets of pulleys form a block and tackle. A block and tackle is assembled so one block is attached to a fixed mounting point and the other is attached to the moving load. The ideal mechanical advantage of the block and tackle is equal to the number of parts of the rope that supports the moving block. I wonder if there's an history section here. No. It's not. I think I tried to draw something here instead. So this person here is pulling a very heavy load up from a ship, probably. This might be a port harbor, and he's lifting it using these pulley, these wheels with grooves, and yeah, he changes the direction of the power, so he can like pull like this on the rope, and the heavy load will move straight upwards. And you can have special types of different kinds of like ways the rope is going around these blocks. You can have more the easiest one is just a rope like this, and then one end here that you pull, and one end straight downwards to the load. But then you can have more complicated systems of ropes, so that you have to pull more rope and it will take a longer time, of course, but then you can move heavier loads upwards. So I guess this is a system where the rope goes first like this, and then down like this, and then up again. So that there are two ropes in this direction, so the power or the force is split into, they share somehow the force. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but this is like basic physics. Still have some space here to draw something, and I would like to add another example of a wedge, actually. And it's another tool called the chisel. Actually, maybe I can write down, can label these by names as well. We have the chisel, screw, charled axe, and scissors. The block and tackle and the inclined plane. Examples of lever: bottle opener, crowbar, pliers, tweezers. The wheel and axle, and the wheelbarrow, that is a compound machine. I hope you found this interesting and also relaxing. Thank you so much for listening and watching. And sleep well. Take care. Stay safe. See you soon again.